Yes, the man, the myth, the legend, Jimmy Norris.
There we go.
Jimmy, it's good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing really good, thank you. So technically speaking, episode two, for those of you who weren't with us last week, we did a fantastic job of talking all about Jimmy and his weird desire to be an entrepreneur versus my desire to be an entrepreneur. And lo and behold, hey, I don't know how I did that, but that was dope. I got like,
That's
yeah,
perfect timing too.
this is like really, really good. We've really upped the production value on this one, Jimmy. So like, this is super exciting.
That's because
Uh,
dollars are coming in.
they're starting to come in like crazy. But like Jimmy and I, we've been friends, we've been neighbors for a long time. And as we've talked over the years, we decided we're both kind of sickos in the fact that like I'm a serial entrepreneur, which means I love to help businesses succeed from the inside out, right? Like over the course of my 20-year career in sales and marketing, done tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars for different employers. Which to some of you that may sound asinine. To me, it's exciting because I really get to experiment on somebody else's dime and ultimately be really successful. So I'm loving what I call myself a serial entrepreneur. Jimmy is actually a serial entrepreneur. So we're both kind of weirdos in our own right. But Jimmy is the president, founder, and CEO of his own company, Desert Counseling. Jimmy's been doing this for like 45 years, something
Close
like that.
to
Pretty
13.
close, yeah. So 13. We're going to round up to 45 years. And Jimmy's been killing it. He's been opening more and more and more clinics. You guys will get to know and love Jimmy a lot like I do. He's very, very knowledgeable, super business savvy, but more so the 6 inches of space that's between his ears is fascinating. He loves to be able to, for some reason, fillet people open, help them with their problems, and get them on their way. And so it's really cool to watch Jimmy do his thing. But Jimmy, how you feeling like one episode deep? Like this is episode number two.
It was actually pretty fun. I'm really excited. I'm excited for the guests that we're going to be getting all lined up. So I think as this starts to grow, more people are going to come learn about it and enjoy it.
Yeah, and so our goal really is to help entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs, right, understand that like there are multiple options out there for making money. Like if school isn't the right route for you, or if you're wondering about a specific career and you're like, hey, how do I get into that? Can I make money doing that? And really just like as I've grown up, Jimmy, I've been fascinated at the ways in which people make money. Right, the opportunities are everywhere, and we live in one of the most beautiful countries that allow us to do some of the craziest ass things that you've ever seen to make money. And so, like, I'm super stoked to bring on some of our guests that we have lined up. We live in a very unique neighborhood, and that we have entrepreneurs all up and down our streets. Just crazy talented people. And so that's really where the idea birthed from is like, man, we have to have some of these people tell their stories about their entrepreneurship, right? So I'm actually really excited about our guest for
Oh
tonight. So
my.
Jimmy, I'm not going to beat around the bush too much longer, but I'm actually going to pull him on really quick. And as he's joining us, I'm actually going I'll roll through who this lovely gentleman is. He's been one of our good friends for quite a long time. Let's see if he pops up. There he is. He's been one of our friends for a very, very long time, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce to you the man, the myth, the legend, Brant Burnham. So Brant is actually the founder of a company called Ekos Mind and Body Holistic Healing. He's been married for 24 years and has four just absolutely amazing, beautiful children. He's a retired combat vet. And one of the things that really drew, man, I production values through the roof today, Jimmy. One of the things that really drew Brant to this particular career path or side hustle, as he will probably say it is, at least at this point in the ball game, is that being a retired combat vet, he suffered from some PTSD, some depression, and anxiety. And so I think, like a lot of folks who come back from the armed services who were very grateful for their service, he was looking for a way to heal himself naturally, right? So Brant actually happened to stumble across a sound healing, I don't know, Brant, what do you call it? Sound healing bath. Anyway, I had an experience, right? A few years back, and he said, hey, this is probably something I can do, because at the end of that, he was healed not only physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. So Brant actually attended the Meditate School of Mindfulness and Sound and received his level 1 and level 2 practitioner certificates back in April of 2023. So if you're doing the math, Brant's been doing this for about a year and a half. His main focus really is on sound and vibration therapies, so sound baths and vibration therapies. But I think if that doesn't tell the picture of who Brant is, Jimmy and I both know him. We love him very much. Brant, thank you for being on the podcast with us tonight, my friend.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be
Dude,
here.
we're so excited. I've had the opportunity to do, Jimmy, I don't know if you have, but I've had the opportunity to do a sound bath with Brent. And it's a very intriguing experience for me. And so I'm really excited to kind of fillet open for people what this is all about, right? Because it is a very holistic type of healing. And Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually kind of got turned on to the holistic side of things when you watched a loved one be healed be healed from breast cancer in a very holistic type way.
Right, right. That was kind of life changing for our family, being such a close family member. Um, but seeing the miracles of Eastern medicine or holistic healing herbs and eating right, watching her change her life and survive it uh, was a testimony of, hey, there's more out there than just Western medicine. In alternative ways, because not everybody uh, does well with medications and radiation treatments and different things like that. And yeah,
And so really, this was like the catalyst for you, right? Like a lot of times, last entrepreneur was like, what inspired you to get into this line of work? And it sounds like this was really your catalyst for saying, there's got to be a different way to heal myself.
right. 2016, was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and the doctors wanted to shove pills down my throat, wanted me to do different things. It didn't feel right, didn't feel good, and so I went with my instincts, my intuition, and ended up being able to treat it naturally. And I'd like to think that, I'm kind of in remission. I have food restrictions still, but uh, don't have to take the medications or get the shots or anything like that. So it's been something that's this additive of sound healing has been a big thing.
Yeah, that's super, super cool. So it's really intriguing to me because I do think that a lot of people are like, you know what? Something happens, right? Something goes wrong in their body or something happens. And the very first thing they want to do is run to Big Farm, right? Now, I'm not here to debate whether Big Farm is good or bad or otherwise, but I do love the fact that there are options, right? And I think that
Right.
people owe it to themselves to listen to, like you said, Brandon, like what feels right for you, right? Now, I would argue, oh my gosh, I got to quit doing that. I'm not even sure I'm doing that, but I would argue that like, if you've got a broken bone, yeah, you probably have to go to the hospital, right? Like there's not enough oils in the world to fix a broken bone. But like if you have something else you're struggling with, like a mental, PTSD, or something, right? And everybody has some. I would venture guess, Jimmy, and really this I'm going to lean on you on this one, Jimmy. I would venture guess and say the majority of the people that you talk to in your clinic have some form of like trauma in their
They
life.
do.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I mean, some might even argue that like the therapy that you guys are doing, I think it's a little more mainstream now, right? But like we talked about it last week, and even that is something, even traditional quote unquote therapy is something that sometimes people are like, I don't know if it works. It's just all woo, right? How do you like, Jimmy? I'm going to come to you first. How do you combat that mindset of like therapy is like woo, and then Brant, like obviously, like not obviously, I think there are going to be a lot of people that are like, listen, vibration healing, I don't know, right? And so, Jimmy, let me ping you first and be like, how do you help overcome people when you're like, listen, therapy is a viable way of making sure that you heal past traumas and move on? And Brent, I'll ask you the same question after that. Like, how do you use your practice of vibration and sound healing to like help people heal their bodies?
Well, with my part, I think it's just a matter of trust. They're walking in the door already because they want the help. So they might be skeptical a little bit. And even if, they were forced to come in, they still showed up.
Yeah.
So once you gain that trust relationship with them, then you can slowly start building into the change that they want. And then it's just one simple step. And then once they feel just that little bit of hope, that little bit of change, then that's where the big progress works. And to go back to the very beginning, trauma, when people think trauma, or PTSD, they think, like with Brent where he's at, I went to war, first responders, they think it's something big. And in reality, trauma is, you got your big T's, your little T's. So the big T's for trauma, you got the first responders, police, our veterans, and then you got the little T's, our little traumas that we have. You might have been bullied in school, some emotional abuse, and so there's all different types of trauma that come in. And when people come into the office, and you can just show that little glimmer of hope, that's when that change starts happening.
Yeah, I love that. Brant, pivoting over to you a little bit with a more holistic approach to what trauma looks like. How do you use your practice? How do you use sound vibration to help people past or through their trauma?
So basically, if you think physics, right? Some of us took physics in high school. It's very similar. You got mass plus, creating energy with different objects, right?
Right.
But basically, everything around us has some sort of vibration or frequency to it. You think of like ham radio operators; they have to deal with the propagation of the frequencies and the things that block the frequency. Um, our bodies, as we go through life, like what Jimmy talked about, we might have some childhood traumas that might lower the frequencies of some of our cells and at the molecular level in our bodies. It could be a physical trauma from an accident, but no, with the knowledge of understanding from the research that everything has a frequency and a vibration. Our cells, even man-made objects like tables or whatever it is, everything has a frequency. And basically, when you use instruments, I grew up loving music. If you think about music and how widespread just music is and how it influences people's lives,
Yeah.
if you can think of a song or something that you can reflect on, how does it make you feel? Do you have a favorite song that makes you feel upbeat? That's, in a sense of it resonating with you, those frequencies and vibrations. But as someone comes to a sound bath and we play these instruments, all my instruments are basically tuned to a 432 hertz frequency, which they call the celestial or the healing frequency.
Okay.
Most music is about 440 hertz, or at least most instruments. But when somebody comes to a sound bath, we're playing these instruments, they're feeling the vibrations, they're resonating with that. Their bodies are resonating with it. And when somebody has the trauma or, like they're sick, maybe an organ's not operating to its full capacity, it's vibrating at probably a lower frequency. When you bring these other frequencies and vibrations in, they help raise it and allow your body to do what it's designed to do. It's designed to heal. That's the miracle of our bodies.
So I love that, Brant. Tell me how long. So let's assume there's people out there that are sitting on traumas, right? Whether it is a big T or a little T, as Jimmy would call it, right? How long and how quickly can people actually see results from a holistic sound bath type of healing? Like, can people come in, have one session, and leave feeling infinitely better than when they came in, or is this something where you're like, hey, listen, we actually have to have multiple visits to like try to retune your body into a more celestial state, as it were?
So it all depends. Basically, they could feel or find relief immediately. Um, just like when you listen to music, it makes you feel good right away. Um, when you want to raise your vibrations, in essence, so basically, the research right now is showing that people that come in with anxiety or depression, anxiety, you will probably feel anywhere between 27 to 70% increase in feeling good after a sound bath, after a 60-minute sound bath.
Wow.
They actually range from 40 to 60 minutes, right? And then depression, you can cut depression to 32% immediately. My first sound bath, thanks to one of I have a really good friend, Chelsea. She's one of our yogi friends, but she introduced me to somebody that did my first sound bath, and I was just going for the experience.
Yeah.
Never done one before, and the first 50 minutes was total awesome. I was feeling good. That last 10 minutes, I started to feel this weird pain right here on the side of my body. I was kind of clammy. I'm like, oh, am I having a heart attack? What's going on? And
Sound bath and leave with the heart
but
attack.
about five, like the last few minutes of the sound bath, I mean, I was getting you to get up and just walk it off because it hurt.
Yeah.
And then it went away. It was done and it was over with. And when I was walking out, the practitioner had asked me how my session was, and I told her I loved it except the last part. I felt this pain right here. And she's like, well, have you had any trauma there before? Been in an accident? And I'm like, yeah, I have all this hardware right here. I was in a nasty bike accident. And she, educated me on how our cells store trauma. Our cells store trauma. And that was my body's way of just saying, hey, you've had this trauma. It took me probably a good month to get back on that mountain bike trail because I was terrified to go on it again. But my body got rid of it, and I've never done hundreds of sound baths, and I've never felt anything like it before. But so that was my body's way of processing some emotional trauma out of the tissues within that one session. I've had people come in with tinnitus, Tourette's, people that had neck surgery, and based on the recommendation from the physical therapist, they come in and they immediately feel results. They love how they feel.
That's really, really fascinating. So less people think this is just some wild, wild west industry of like people out like banging drums and like moving circles around things. Brent, talk to us a little bit about what like schooling looks like. If somebody's like, you know what, I really resonate, no pun intended, with the vibrational healing, right? Talk to us a little bit about your schooling, where you went, how you got started in that. What do the expenses look like to kind of get going in something like this type of holistic healing?
Well, just to kind of backstory it, the reason why I went to school is I've had fellow soldiers commit suicide, and it was sad to see families go through some hard things because of the results of one's decisions. But it was kind of one of those things of like, man, I know I've suffered from these kinds of things, but I don't want to see anybody else go through this. And then my son, one of his best friends in the military, because he's also in the military, committed suicide. And I'm like, what can I do? So I immediately thought of the sound bath that I went to and how much I felt during that, as far as how it helped me.
Yeah.
And so I did a little bit of research, and I found, Bill's school. It's a Meditate School for Mindfulness and Sound. And I ended up traveling down to Arizona. I did a bunch of online work beforehand, learning about sounds and vibrations, frequencies, and basically how it all works. Instruments. They go through the history of instruments and the different cultures they come from. And so after, I don't know, probably about 9 months later, I finally went in and to the school where I traveled down to Sedona, Arizona. The school they're all over the United States. At least they travel to these specific locations and hold these schools. And it was about, I think mine was about 4 or 5 days long, if I remember right, of hands-on and basically completing the certifications.
Yeah.
And the school, Meditate School of Mindfulness and Sound, it's an accredited school with all these different academias and what have you, but they are well known, and I kind of felt like I was like one of the first or maybe second people from Utah that actually went down to the school, and they've been holding the school for a couple of years. And so they held their first class here in Salt Lake this last June, their level 1 and level 2 certification. But the things that they teach you in the school, and I studied out the different schools that are out there, and by far, I do not regret anything about the school. I'm so glad I went to the school because of the in-depth techniques that they use to teach you, and they take the time to answer your questions. And the awesome thing about the school is that the education is continual, because I went to it, so all the different new techniques that come out as things advance and new instruments, I get to receive that information and use that information because I went to the school. It's a continual education.
Yeah.
They offer, right now I got my level 3. I was hoping to do it this year, wasn't able to travel and do it this year, but the level 3 is more fine-tuning the skills, the techniques, and coaching, and what have you. So I'm looking forward to continuing my education with the school. But like I said, they travel around the states, Michigan, Florida. They're based out of Florida. California, they have a schoolhouse. And now they're coming to Utah. So which is cool. So hopefully I get to do my level 3 here in Utah one day, and so I don't have to travel. But traveling is kind of hard for me.
Yeah. I have a question. Then Jimmy, I know you have some questions too,
Yeah.
with Pepper and Brant. So let me ask him this one really quick. Brant, because a lot of people aren't going to be familiar with what a sound bath experience feels like or is like, kind of help demystify that experience for people. What can they expect when they come to a sound bath? And then Jimmy, Pepper, Brant, with the questions that you have for them.
So basically, when they come to a sound bath, they're they can lie down or sit down. They can meditate, but I typically lead it with some meditation. But I use an intention before each one of my sound baths, because one thing I learned in school is you have to have intention, because even our thoughts will ride on these frequencies, and that's how people feel that the sincerity and the trust and what you're going to be doing as a practitioner, as the instrument for them to be able to accomplish what their intention is for.
Yeah.
But as they come, they'll lay down on a mat, a yoga mat, or lay down on a blanket or whatever. I like to have them as comfortable as possible. If wearing an eye mask and whatever, having a blankie and a pillow, and basically they're just going to lay there, and I'm going to walk them through some guided meditation, get them to relax and calm and get their breathing under control. And then I start introducing some of my instruments. I play some of my crystal bowls, and they're fascinating because the tones of the way they sing is music. It's beautiful. And then I go through and I basically kind of treat it like an onion, right? Our onions, we're like an onion. So we peel back layers to be able to get to some root causes, right? Then you peel back another layer. So as I start peeling back their layers, it helps them process through whatever they might be dealing with, some trauma or some mental breakthrough that they're struggling with. Maybe some brain health or some anxiety. A lot of my clients probably deal with anxiety, but as I go through and peel back their layers, they kind of get down into this level of like they're feeling bliss. They're seeing their body, they're feeling their body and themselves, and this kind of a state of mind of peace and harmony with themselves, and without judging themselves, or and then I kind of peel back another layer, and it's kind of, you have to use specific techniques, and the foundation for it is basically you want to kind of bring them into like feeling like they're in bliss, right? They're feeling good, they're feeling happy, then you kind of bring them out and wake them up, and then you can do it again. And it can go 4 or 5 different times within that hour, 60 minutes. And so when they come out of it, I like to finish with like breathing exercises. So people have heard of Wim Hof breathing, or there's box breathing, candle breathing. There's all kinds of different techniques, but it's basically I'm teaching them how they can use these tools of breathing to help calm themselves, get their emotions under control by just breathing and bringing awareness to how they're feeling, which is very helpful. One thing that I've learned, that it's when you can control your thoughts, you can focus better, have more clarity, and make better decisions, what have you. But you were about to say something. I felt like I kind of cut you off, but
oh no, that's okay. I really like it. So it's really intriguing, because I had a similar. Muscle Mom 82 said sometimes you get so relaxed you fall asleep, and that was definitely my experience. I get so relaxed I fall asleep. My wife was like elbowing me saying, wake up," because I started snoring, right? But so yeah, you get super relaxed. I'm gonna pause here, and I'm actually gonna make a shout out and just say, hey, listen, like if you guys have any questions, we're gonna hit some Q&A with Brant here in just a minute. So if you have questions about sound baths, about holistic healing, make sure you drop those, and we'll keep track of those as they come through, because we definitely want to make sure we get questions answered. But Jimmy, I know you had a couple questions if you want to ping those at Brant.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's pretty fascinating because I didn't realize there's so many different types of breathing. But
Jimmy
I
just
do
wakes
want
up
to.
and breathes. He just does it automatically. He's so badass.
Well,
He just wakes up and
well,
breathes.
I don't even wake up. I just don't sleep. So my question is though, so when someone comes in to do a sound bath, kind of like when you first did it, you realize, okay, you had some pain in the shoulder, and someone pointed out to you, okay, did you have any trauma? If someone's doing like a one-on-one with you, do you kind of get a little history of what they're looking for and then kind of help guide them that way through the sound bath? And then with that, well, I'll have you answer that one first.
So basically in a sound bath, typically, I usually don't ask people if they have any traumas or anything like that, because I like them to come in with just being not non-judged, right? I don't
Yeah.
want them to feel like anything. They're just coming for some meditation and to feel good. But as far as my private sessions, my vibrational therapy, which is the level 2 portion of it, that's where I do the one-on-ones with them. We talk about their needs and things that they might be dealing with, and we talk through it. And they basically lay on a massage bed, and the instruments are actually on their body, touching their body, because it helps get down to the molecular level of their cells. So it's like getting a massage in essence, but we just go over their whole body. We focus on areas that they want to focus on, and it's about 90 minutes of just pure bliss. It's awesome. Have them roll them over halfway through it and work the other side of the body, but it's mostly hands-on. And so the interaction with the clients is mostly during the private sessions. But as far as sound baths, I just allow them to come in, they lay down, they relax, and let them just be there, be present.
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that you can see so many beneficial things to that. I think my own field, where someone comes in with a lot of trauma. I work with a lot of sexual abuse, domestic violence, auto accidents, where there's maybe life involved, where there's so much anxiety, so much stress going on that it's just they don't know how to relax, especially if they've had trauma their whole life. So I could see how this could be so beneficial because it's probably new for some people where they've had so much anxiety in their life. And then when they finally relax, it probably scares them at first because they don't realize what's happening. But you can kind of key off from that, like, okay, this is good. This is your body healing.
Yeah.
That's really good. So I'm going to interject here really quick. We got a question from CM Greener. She says, what instruments are commonly used during a sound bath session? So again, if you have questions, make sure you guys drop them, and we'll get to those as they come through. Jimmy, let's have Brant answer this, and then if you have another question for Brant, fire when ready. But Brant, what instruments are commonly used during a sound bath?
Commonly used are basically crystal bowls or Himalayan bowls are the common ones, depending on the practitioner and what resonates with the practitioner. For me, I love drums. I have zero talent in music. I don't know how to read notes or anything, but I love the drum, and the drum's actually known as this spiritual instrument. The Native Americans, that drum has been used in many cultures around the world. And but so you got buffalo drums. I have a blood drum. You see right behind me, this is a rain pillar. It basically makes it rain, sound like it's been raining. I use tuning forks, but commonly used things are basically your crystal singing bowls, Himalayan bowls, and I have some other unique ones that I know that aren't commonly used that I learned about in school that I resonate with. Like the wind wand.
I want to get into, Brant. What's the nitty gritty? What isn't commonly used? Tell us the dirty secrets.
Well, the wind wand is one. It's cool. It's kind of got that Australian sound. If you remember seeing the movie Crocodile Dundee, where they got
didgeridoo.
It kind of sounds like a didgeridoo, but it's a wind wand. You swing it, and it makes the sound like the guy makes the sound in the movie Crocodile Dundee. He's doing the wand. He's going.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
What's it called?
It's called a wind wand.
Jimmy, you don't have a wind wand.
Well, it sounds like something you have to be 21 years older to go get it. So
no. It's basically rubber bands on a stick, and the rubber bands are vibrating. But I use a flute. I actually had a custom flute made for me from Blue Bear Flutes out of Florida, where he tuned it with 432 hertz for me and the tone of E, and I love it. so many different instruments.
That's
And
cool.
I use chimes. Chimes are cool. People like to resonate with some of the chimes because it helps them feel like they're kind of what did somebody say last a couple weeks ago? I forget what they said, that they were feeling like they were in some cartoon movie with the tones of the chimes. But so
Man,
people resonate with different things.
Jimmy, I bet you haven't used chimes once in your business today.
Not
I
today,
knew it.
no.
Not today.
No.
I knew it. Freaking Jimmy. I knew it. Brantley, a couple other questions that rolled through. Can sound baths be used as part of a regular self-care routine, or is it an intense thing for the body and should only happen like once a month? How often can you have sound
Good
baths?
question.
I think your body will tell you what you need. Like when I hold a back-to-back sound bath, like on a Friday night and a Saturday night, as the practitioner, I'm benefiting from it too because I'm receiving all the vibrations as well. And to me, that's kind of a lot. I sleep really good, but you have to listen to your body. Some people, my return customers or my clients, they come, maybe once every 3 months, just to, it all depends on how they're feeling or what they want to do. But it's just based on how you feel.
Well, and kind of piggybacking off that, the question's asked, how long do the effects of a sound bath typically last? And what should I do after a sound bath to enhance the benefits?
So
how can you make it last longer? Everybody wants to go longer, Brantley. How can you make it last longer?
I don't know, Jimmy. I'll let Jimmy answer this because I had his son in one of my sound baths, and he had some effects I think last for about 24 hours, if I remember right. But it depends on what it is. I usually follow up with my private sessions with my clients after the weekend, maybe midweek the next week, to see how they're feeling and how they're doing, and they're still feeling good. So it all depends on the person. And the one thing to know after doing it, it's kind of like getting a massage because your cells are vibrating so rapidly and so much that you could get dehydrated. So you basically got to drink water, stay hydrated. You can dehydrate pretty quickly from it.
Interesting. Okay, so this is an intriguing question that rolled through from Muscle Mama 82. She says, could you guys foresee marrying talk therapy and energy healing to experience optimal healing? So it sounds like she's suggesting Jimmy and Brant are like, hey, could you mix Jimmy's like messing with the brain and Brant's mixing with the cells and combine some super cool mess to like make a total holistic experience?
100%.
Yeah, totally.
100%. Because you got the talk therapy. We did VFS right now.
Knew it.
It goes back from the very beginning where, you know what, I have clients that have so much trauma, they don't even know how to relax. And it's hard to focus on the trauma when, to start on the trauma, when the moment you bring it up, it takes them back. I mean, quick example, I had one client where you name it, it happened to them. And even just bringing it up, they would dissociate. And so they'd just be that out of body where you had to slowly bring them back in. And to start any type of therapy, you have to be grounded.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be grounded, be present. And this is like one of those cool things where, it teaches them to understand their own body in a natural way and not the therapist necessarily saying, all right, let's relax here. Because sometimes just that word can trigger things.
Yeah. Yeah, I should never tell my wife to just relax. That's a bad idea. Super bad. So Yogini Chels, thank you for joining us. She also says, my therapist combines talk therapy, meditation, breath work, and sound. So you guys need to find a third leg to your stool. And it sounds like you'll barely be catching up to Yogini Chels's therapist. So I'm just saying, like, you guys gotta get cracking. So here's a couple of questions I have for you, Brantley. Talk to us a little bit about what do you normally charge for a sound bath experience? Like, what's a typical price point?
I usually charge $20. When I first started out, I didn't want to charge anything just because I was going to the mindset I wanted to help people. When I got into it, I had a reason. I didn't want to be exclusive to just our vets because I know there's other people that can benefit from it. But I typically charge $20.
For a group setting?
Yeah, in a group setting for the sound
Okay.
bath. And the private sessions are 90 minutes long, so I charge $80 for a private session, which is equivalent to massage pricing.
Yeah, it's like getting a good massage, right? Okay.
Well, it's expensive.
Do you say that's expensive?
No, I said that's less expensive than
I was say, Jimmy, you're
90-minute
cheapskate.
massage.
Jimmy's trying.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy's trying to negotiate right here with Brant. What? This is one of my favorite questions. Talk to us about something that we would not expect from the sound. I call it the seedy underside of an industry, right? Like, what is their brand? Have you experienced something where you're like, I bet people did not know that in a sound bath this thing can happen?
Not really, but sometimes I feel like I need a sound bath, so I go to somebody else's sound bath, and I've seen some things, and it just kind of gives a stigma. People like I'm a naturalist. I like just being natural. I don't believe in some people believe in the psychedelics and how it can help them and different things, or mushrooms, or the hemp stuff. So when the ones I've been to, people start passing around all the gummies and different things, and so they could, feel like they're back in the 70s seeing all the funny things. But so it kind of gives it a little stigma of, I feel that people just go to these sound baths because they're just passing around drugs, and people just want to do drugs, which is, one thing that I learned when I was building my business was, I learned it from my coach, Bill, that you want to be a purple cow, okay? You're driving down the farm road and you see a bunch of cows out in the pasture, and you're just like, oh, they're just cows. But if you see a purple cow, what are you going to do? You're going to pull over.
That's a daggone purple cow.
You're going to stop. You're going to take pictures of it, take pictures with it. You're going to try to tip it. You're going to try to do all kinds of things, right? So the point is that you want to stand out and be different and unique. And that's something that I focused on. I have tried to focus on in my business, is trying to be unique. And I get people that come that have done sound baths with other people, and they're like, "You're nothing like anybody else that we've gone to." And so I that's kind of what I focus on. I want people just to come, feel like they can relax and find peace and harmony with their bodies and with themselves, and leave with peace in their hearts and in their minds. And it's basically therapy without talking. Sorry, Jimmy. But
hey, it's cheaper too.
Yeah. So the outlier that I see, like, to answer your question, is that in the community that I live in, we're very religious people, and I truthfully don't believe that using CBD or those different things. I mean, they have their purpose, their medicinal type purposes, right? But it gives people the wrong idea that want to come to these. They see that and they're like, oh, it's just a drug party or something, and it's not the case. There are a lot of people that do these sound baths that have never been trained or certified, and they've learned from watching YouTube or learning from somebody else. And so it's different. People, react differently to them. So that's kind of the outlier, I guess I would say.
So a key differentiator of Brant's business, ladies and gentlemen, is that he doesn't do drugs or things at his sound baths. So rest assured, if you go, you don't have to worry about being like, no weed for me, thank you. Like, you're good to go. You don't even have to worry about it. Oh, I love it. Okay, guys, we got a few more minutes left. If you have any questions about sound baths, vibrational healing, make sure you drop those in the comments below. Jimmy, do you have any final questions for Brant? I have one more that I want to ping at him. Do you have any final questions for Brant? And then we'll actually turn the time over to Jimmy for a sponsored Deseret Counseling mental health moment. But Jimmy, final questions for Brant.
No, do you know that my boy did go to him, wanted to try it out. He does have Tourette's, and it was an amazing experience. He came back and he's like, do you know what? It's the calmest he's ever been. And it was his Tourette's, his muscles tighten up because he gets them quite often. And it's like Brant said, about 24 hours, he he felt calm and relaxed, and he actually went out and bought one of those. I'm not sure what they're called, Brant,
It's a Himalayan
but
bowl.
yeah, he went and got one because it was just so calming and relaxing for him.
That's cool. And your son actually does have really good pitch, so like that makes sense. He can probably play it
Yeah,
beautifully.
he probably could.
We
He's
did have another
musically
question.
talented.
We have another question, Roland. I don't know what DARE stands for, Muscle Mom 82, but whatever that means, spell that out if that's important for me. But we did have another question, Roland. Can sound baths be personalized to individual needs or intentions?
Yes. Yes, especially if it's communicated or worked out beforehand. I like to try to make it as a unique experience as possible by playing different instruments. And sometimes I feel like maybe we need to add some, 432 hertz of just nature sounds with it. People, that have been to the sound baths, I've had people request, hey, can you drum over me longer? I like the way the vibrations get into my bones and how it makes me feel. So yeah, I've personalized it before, and it's people love the results.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, thank you, Muscle Mama, for clarifying. She says drug-free baby like is in the DARE program. I get it. I'm old. I forget things. I'm tracking now. Okay, two more things, Brent. Because this is a podcast for entrepreneurs, what can they typically experience for cost when they get started? If they're interested, they're like, man, this sounds really, really intriguing. I want to help people get whole holistically. What is kind of the expense they can look at incurring in the beginning? And then you're being very generous and giving these away at $20 a class. If I was your business coach, I'd be like, Brand, it's time to raise the price on that. But because you're a generous soul and I'm a greedy, money hungry ninny muggins, like I would charge more. What can you typically expense to get into the field, and then typically how long will it take for you to get a return on your investment?
Right. So the first year it was a lot of buying the instruments and paying for the school and the tuition. And the tuition's gone up a little bit, but it was about $1,600, and that was just the tuition, not the travel costs or anything like that. But just to get started with, like a set of sound bowls, was $600 or $700, and then you got to spend that. So you could spend a lot of money in this business just with one gong. I know gongs can cost upwards of $10,000, but you can't if you're starting out, and that's kind of an issue where you don't want to spend a lot of money. There are plenty of instruments that you can get that you might resonate with that are low cost. Right now with the city that I live in, I have to identify all my instruments on this addendum that I turn in for tax purposes, and but I kind of look at it and I'm like, okay, I'm still like under $2,500 worth of equipment.
Yeah.
We have a lot of instruments. So basically, I mean, just to start out, you just depending on what you resonate. When you go to school, they introduce you to all kinds of instruments, and whatever you resonate with is something that you're probably going to focus on, that you want to buy and start building up on. And because there's some people that just buy strictly gongs, and they have these gong meditation sound baths just with gongs. But yeah.
So I'm just doing some quick math there. So it's safe to say that you could get into this practice and really be $5,000 or under with your schooling and your instruments.
Right.
And then depending upon how you price yourself out, you really could turn a profit inside of a year and a half, especially if you focus on like those one-on-one healings, right? So you can actually turn a profit on this business relatively quickly. Again, something you need to be passionate about, to make sure you get the proper schooling and things like that. We do have one final question here.
Before you get to that, I have one more statement,
Yeah.
Casey. Before you get to that last question, there's certain things you can do. When I got my certification, I'm like, I don't have all this money to get going, so I needed a website. I needed all kinds of things. I need to pay for my business license and all those things. So because of people that I know, I'm like, hey, can I trade and offer you 2 private sessions and 3 sound baths if you build me a logo and build my website. And so they did them for me in exchange for trading. So
Yeah, so that's a really important
that was
concept.
helpful.
That's a
Right.
really important concept that Brant actually just cued you guys into. Like, you can frequently tap into your network, and there will be people who will be willing to help you because they see potential in you, because they see what's coming in your future, and they know that it's going to return dividends
Yeah.
in the rears, right? And so don't be afraid to reach out to your network and be like, hey, I'm just starting into this thing. I think that's something that people are terrified to do. Like, they don't want to come across as like needy, or like they don't know what they're doing, right? But I have seen people get further faster by working with a mentor, by telling people what they're doing rather than just trying to do it by themselves. And so that's a really, really cool gold nugget from Brant. Like, tap into your network. Like, that is one of the most valuable resources that you could possibly have in your life, is like whoever is sitting, I can't show you mine, but whoever's sitting in your phone, right? Like, that's going to be one of the best things you could possibly tap into. Brant, that's a really, really good gold nugget. So the last question from CN Greener: where do you like to buy your instruments? Like, can you go on Amazon? Is there a bowl or gong or drum buying store? Like, where do you go?
So there are quite a few stores online that specialize in these instruments, and they actually have recorded sounds, so you know what your instrument sounds like before you buy it. Silver Sky is one. Amazon, I've bought like my chimes off there. I bought one bowl off there because I knew what it sounded like and I knew the company CVNC that made it. We have a few stores around here in Salt Lake County. The Dancing Crane has all kinds of instruments that you can go and experiment with and learn how to play and get your hands on. And so the Dancing Crane, Amazon, even my school, at one point, I haven't been on their website for a little while, but they sell some instruments. When you go to class, they have all the instruments out there, and you could buy them from them directly, and you're probably going to get it at a discounted rate because of the school.
That's all.
So
That's really cool. Okay, Brant, I think the most important question, because thank you for being with us, and we want to make sure you get a huge shout out to Ekos. Tell people where they can find you. If you are especially in Utah, all up and down the Wasatch Front or northern Utah County, Brant, where can people find you? How can they get a hold of you if they want to experience either an individual sound bath or a group sound bath?
So with the group sound baths, I also do corporate retreats. I've done those with companies where they have me come in and I do a sound bath. But ekosmindandbody.com is my website. Ekos Holistic Healing is on Instagram. Are the places where I dwell a lot. My website has all my information, my contact information, and it actually I list all my sound baths. So when I have my upcoming sound bath, which I have this weekend, I have 2 of them. It's at the top of the banner, and you can just go through the clicks and prompts, and it tells you how to get in touch with me to come.
Yeah. I love it. So if you guys are bored, you want an awesome date night, if you want a girls retreat, if you want I don't want a men's retreat, right? Like, get your homies together, like, go work on yourselves, right? Get some therapy, get some sound vibration, like, heal yourself. One of the things that my wife did this past year, which I absolutely love, she had an intention for the year focusing on her health. And she's dove into a lot of really cool things for her health. So make the rest of this year about you. Get yourself whole, get yourself healthy, get ready to go into 2025 in the best version possible of yourself.
Amen.
You do that through not only holistic healing, but also through very real traditional methods such as Jimmy does. Matter of fact, Jimmy, that's going to bring us to our mental health moment, brought to you by Deseret Counseling. Jimmy, drop some knowledge on us. How can we be better prepared mentally for the next week?
It's kind of going off a little Brant with the nature part. So when feeling stressed, when feeling anxious, I said this a little bit last week, but go out for a walk. A lot of us will just kind of sit down, kind of process things, wonder why we're sad, or wondering why we're depressed. Go for a walk, and the reason why you walk is because that stimulation of movement. I always compare it, it's like driving. If you're driving and there's nothing around you, so if you're familiar with Utah, drive from Beaver to Cedar City, there's nothing there. And you're just tired. But as soon as you get to Cedar City and you see the houses, the buildings, you're more awake, because that's that stimulation of movement going. So get out, go for a walk, and as you're walking and there's that stimulation, whether you realize it or not, the mind starts processing, and it's just easier to get out of that funk that you were in.
I love it. Guys, get outside. The weather is changing. It's still really, really beautiful here in Utah. The leaves are changing. Go enjoy being in nature. Guys, thank you so much for being with us on the Open Source Entrepreneur Podcast. Brant, thank you so much for being with us and dropping knowledge. Guys, we will see you next time. Until then, make sure you stay weird. Love you guys.
And subscribe.
Love and
Subscribe,
kindness.
baby.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
Later.